Thank you. Okay, good evening, everyone. It's time for the 5th instalment in the State of the Union podcasts, courtesy of the Three Amigos, which is my good friend Niall Fraser. Hello, Niall.
Hi.
It's lovely to see you. Jean-Anne Mitchell is back with us this week. Hello, Jean-Anne.
Hello.
And you got me, David Griffiths. So, we thought we would kick off with a quick look at what's happened in the world of British politics this week, and it's been quite a week. I think we'd all agree.
Every week's been quite a week. It's been ram-packed every week, honestly. We were struggling to keep up. Jeez.
Yes, indeed.
What has been happening in the politics this week? Well, you want to talk about this the right to life thing that a couple of Labour MPs were trying to sneak in, but didn't go through. Didn't get put forward.
They weren't taken to votes. I think they were encouraged not to, and no wonder, but we'll come on to that.
So what's the actual story behind that then?
So the story behind that is a bit sneaky, all being done when people's eye is off the ball. And two Labour MPs, Diana Johnston and Rupa Hug, have been... They basically chickened out at the last minute. But what they were trying to do, and I am furious about this, is to introduce new legislation that would allow abortion right up until time of birth for any reason.
So not, it would be
abortion on demand right up to time of birth.
Yep.
Now, fortunately, we had sufficient MPs who were pro-life minded to understand that the majority of people, in fact, 70% of women, are in favour of a reduction in the abortion rate. The number of weeks, which is currently 24 weeks. Now, let me give you an example of something that's very close to my own heart. I have been very involved with baby loss network groups, and I myself am a bereaved parent. I lost my third son at 34 weeks into my pregnancy. Now, over the years, I have supported many families who have suffered loss. And some of the most tragic cases that I've ever been involved in are when a baby, a fully formed baby, and much loved and much wanted baby, dies up until 23 weeks and 6 days. Not many people know this, but to accommodate the current Abortion Act in the United Kingdom, these babies, pre-24 weeks, cannot be recognised as babies, despite the fact they've got 10 fingers, 10 toes, and are fully formed, and the mother has to deliver a stillborn baby. These babies are not classified as babies, only to accommodate the Abortion Act. Now, I am very, very focused that the Abortion Act has to change, and I am absolutely going to be promoting a reduction in the number of weeks, because with all the technology, we're so advanced now, there are babies that are surviving at that level.
When can you get an initial scan?
So basically, you can get an initial scan. Well, now people can get scans very early on,
Like 10,
predominantly private scans from a very, very early stage. But, you're talking about, 20-week scans, you're talking about 12-week scans. But, if there is something seriously wrong, then, obviously, then there are situations that are non-viable, and, that is
So,
an absolute tragedy.
But hypothetically, right?
We're talking about healthy pregnancies being
So
aborted
a
here.
couple, woman gets pregnant, couple's looking forward to having a baby.
Yep.
They've had a 20-week scan. It gets up to 23 weeks and 6 days. Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
And
Something goes wrong.
Something goes wrong. That's not deemed a baby.
No, it's a fetus. It's a fetus despite the fact that this baby will have 10 fingers, 10 toes.
It's a day away.
You know, I mean,
I
I can actually speak really passionately about this because when I had a stillborn baby, I had to deliver my baby at 34 weeks. And it was a horrendous experience. But I went through a normal birth like I went through with my other 3 children.
Yeah.
There was no difference. Had I had to go through that at 23 weeks and 6 days and be told that I couldn't have a birth certificate and that baby was a fetus. It wasn't a baby, it was a fetus. And that was only to accommodate the current abortion law in this country. That would have killed me.
And that could be so extreme as it's only a 24-hour gap, and that the 24
Yeah.
hours is making it deem
Yeah,
fetus or baby.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
just nuts.
yeah. So for these 2 lovely ladies, and I'm sorry, I'm afraid I'm using the word lovely
Sarcastic.
very sarcastically, Diana Johnson and Rupa Hug, I hope you watch this and I hope you realise the pain and anguish that you are causing many women in this country. And the majority of women, 70% of women in this country, are not in your labour threshold who want to increase the level of time right up until birth. How dare you not protect an unborn child? How dare you?
I can tell you're obviously passionate.
Hard-hitting stuff. Very, very
furious.
much so. Oh, absolutely.
It seems like they get some of these Labour people get their playbook for the Democrats in America, and they've got the similar type laws in some of these states where you can abort all the way up to and including afterbirth, which to me is murder, euthanasia, whatever you want to call it.
Well, can I just tell you something else, right? So a baby that is going to be aborted at a late stage. Now, there are babies that the pregnancies are non-viable. They're not going to make it.
Sure.
And that is a terribly emotional conversation and a terrible decision for parents. And when add to that mix, when maternal safety is equally compromised, that is a terrible, terrible situation. And these mums and dads need all the support in the world because it's not what they wanted.
Yeah.
It's the end of a dream. It's the end of
It's a nightmare.
life, which is horrendous. However, for someone to consent to abortion right up until time of birth, I've got lots of midwife pals who do not want to be involved in anything like this. But the sad fact of the matter is that when a baby is aborted and it's a late abortion, in order that the baby doesn't cry when the baby is born, they inject
don't even.
something into the baby's heart to stop the baby's heart before the baby is born. Now, honestly,
These are the stuff that
I'm
it's just too hard to
appalled.
hear.
I'm appalled at these 2. I'm not even going to call you women because you're not women. No woman would ever advocate terminating a pregnancy at the end unless there were absolutely extenuating circumstances. We've got birth control. You can go, if you end up pregnant, you can, and it's an unwanted pregnancy, you can go to the local pharmacy and get a morning after pill. If things go further than that and it's a delayed reaction, no, but even if someone wants to terminate a pregnancy, which I'm not for, but if somebody wants to terminate a pregnancy, They've got ample opportunity to terminate a pregnancy until it gets to time of birth.
Of course.
Absolutely right.
Of course they do.
So I'm sorry, these two women, I can't call you women. I am absolutely appalled as a woman that two other women would dare to advocate this. And I wonder how you sleep at night.
Wow, it's the subject matter that
I know.
provokes
I
enormous.
didn't even want to hear what you were saying there, honestly.
And to add to the equation, the medical professionals are not in favour of
I bet they're not.
of this.
Imagine not.
So far, I know that there were 800 medical professionals wrote an open letter to these two dudes. And basically told them under no circumstances would the medical profession, who take a Hippocratic oath
Yes.
to protect life, would not support you in this. So, honestly, I think this bill would have left the unborn child considerably worse off with far less protection than is currently afforded. And I think it is nothing other than, I can't even think of a word to describe it. It is merciless.
There you go. That's the word.
Merciless.
Merciless.
Wow.
Right, so getting off.
Sorry.
No,
problem.
don't be
Don't be
sorry.
sorry.
It's
Very
one of these
passionate
things,
stuff.
I know,
Very much
you
so.
can't help but get well up and get passionate about it. It's one of these
Yeah.
things. But we'll wait to talk about the fall that was happening in Batley and Spain.
Indeed. Indeed.
How many votes did they win by? The Labour?
323 votes, 323 majority. No recount was allowed, which is very unusual.
Less than 1% of the
total number of votes cast.
the total number of votes cast.
Yes.
So in any case, there should have been a recount.
An automatic recount.
An automatic recount.
Yeah.
And basically, in law, that's what should have happened. And Ryan Stevenson, who was the closest in the race, was the Tory candidate, and he and George Galloway asked Jackie Gedman, the acting returning officer for Batley and Spain, for a recount, and they were refused.
Under, is there any grounds in which they can...
I don't think they were even given reason. I think they were just told no recount, end of story. However, one of the things that's come to light is there's a number of videos which show how the votes were actually transported from the polling station to the count.
Yes.
And normal, as we all know,
Chain of custody,
the protocol is that the boxes are security sealed.
Yeah.
And are then transported from the counting hall, from the voting hall, to purpose council vehicles usually, and there are normally two people in those vehicles, and the boxes are escorted from the count stations to the vehicles, and then some of them are actually followed by police cars. However, in Batley and Spain, they were using cars, normal cars. And what someone has filmed quite incredibly is plastic bin bags, black bin bags that were...
You are joking me.
That the driver told them was postal ballots.
Well, he's just showed up with a bin bag.
So there's this one particular one.
Oh, but you forgot these ones. Yeah, I've got a bin bag.
This one particular box was a box that was supposed to be sealed, was opened, and the guy, you can see the guy quite clearly lifting the black bin bag and stuffing it into the box and just closing it down, not even sealing it. But the thing about this is, apparently Laura Kuenssberg, BBC Laura Kuenssberg, she shouldn't really have been speaking about it, because when you go to account, you're not supposed to talk about anything that you've seen in relation to postal ballots. It's all supposed to be top secret. But Laura Kuenssberg said that it hadn't looked good for Labour. Right. However, miraculously, where I think there was something like maybe 6,000 or 7,000 votes, postal votes prior in other elections. Miraculously, there were 16,000 postal votes in this election.
We can't be surprised there's missed postal votes with COVID, obviously, but
Yeah,
I mean,
like
so it's went from 6,000 to 16.
Something like that.
So there's an extra 10,000 folk in that area that are then.
Yeah.
that I'm feeling they can't possibly
and
go
you've
to
got
the
people
house.
turning up with bin bags, food bags.
But anyway, good for George Galloway,
Yes.
good for Ryan Stevenson, and a number of other candidates have now followed George Galloway's lead. George Galloway's instigated legal action because the whole thing has just been a nightmare, from removing his electoral material and all of that. George has quite openly said that he wants a recount.
Yeah.
However, he is not expecting to win that. He just believes in democracy, and clearly,
It's the done thing. If it's 1% or less,
clearly
surely
there has been foul play here. So the Electoral Commission are going to have to step in here.
Yes.
No choice. And also, so are North Yorkshire Police, because where were they? How did this happen? The police should have been there to make certain that everything was done.
This is prior
properly.
to all the Labour Council issues, especially with the allegations of taking bin posters and other election material. So, I mean, the whole thing's just got a big cloud over it.
Yeah, big time.
The fact that they've only won by 300 votes and
Well-
there isn't an automatic recount is just, it's beyond me. It
Well,
really
what's
is.
going to be
Totally.
really interesting is, if all these, some whistleblowers have reported that there were votes that weren't counted, and then other people are reporting these bags being taken in and,
Yeah.
dumped on the table to be counted. So,
Wouldn't it be anyone trying to cheat elections, would they?
well,
Wouldn't
all,
it be any of these
all
folk?
I can say
that
is,
surely doesn't happen.
all I can say is it's going to be very, very interesting, because the marked up register is a record of every single person that's come into the polling station and been marked off. What's going to be really interesting is when you see the marked up register and that is compared to the electoral roll,
Yep.
and then, how on earth did they manage to confirm the number of voters and the number of votes received in the polling station when all of a sudden there are all these extra bags?
Yeah.
So I just think the whole thing is very, very questionable, and I think that
It needs to be looked at.
I think
Very much so.
if people have broken the law, they have to go to jail, because this is not a third world country.
No.
Not yet.
The likes of
We're getting there.
the likes of George Galloway has gone to foreign countries to supervise their elections when the electoral
Exactly,
system
aye.
has not been trustworthy.
Yes.
And here we are in Batley in Spain, and we're thinking,
Surely there's a semblance
something not quite right there.
No.
So George has actually asked for the result to be annulled. So not just legal action. He's
Yeah.
actually said this result has to be set
redo.
aside. Exactly, yeah.
Well,
Because
apparently
this
a
is-
Labour cabinet minister, a shadow cabinet minister, who was out campaigning, and this was reported by a whistleblower, this shadow minister, who's a local MP, was pointing out empty properties and laughing and joking, saying, we've got 5 votes in there,
Yeah.
we've got 6 votes in there, we've got 10 votes in there,
So it's literally
Sounds-
the exact
So-
same thing that happened over in America. Literally.
So, I think that electoral register has to be very carefully scrutinised by North Yorkshire Police, and I think that the Electoral Commission had better
How
seriously
often do
be all over
they
this.
clean up the electoral register in the books?
Well,
Say people pass away.
Yep.
How often are these people taken off? Are these deceased people still on the register?
yes, they are, and I'll tell you why. Because, see, whenever we were going out canvassing and we had our canvassing sheets that told us, who lived at that
Yeah.
address and how they had voted the last time and all of that. There were a lot of people that were no longer with us when you go to knock on a door.
And we're assuming that the postal ballot arrives at their house Anyway.
Yeah.
Presumably it does, yeah.
Unless someone tells...
Well, we didn't want to get into the
Otherwise-
realms of conspiracy, but there's certainly something that needs to be investigated.
Very much
well,
so.
even if it's
But the whole
assuming,
the whole transportation thing, you know,
Yeah.
the fact that council vans were not used, official council vans were not used to transport ballots, and that there were any ballots in any way insecure for any time at all. Even if it's only one.
Yep.
But by the sounds of things, it's thousands.
Potentially
Well, it's-
thousands indeed.
even if you assume there's no wrongdoing, none whatsoever.
Yep.
It's just the pure numbers. It's only 300 votes. It's less than 1%. It should
Yep.
have automatically triggered a recount.
Well, you know
no
what?
way, shape or form. It should have 100% triggered a recount.
Absolutely right.
You know-
That shouldn't be up to the returning officer's discretion. It
no,
should be
no.
Absolutely
at,
not.
at any threshold, below any threshold of the gap being a
Yep.
small function of the number of votes cast. There has to be a recount. Absolutely.
Well, I think that it's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens here, because Jackie Gedham is the acting returning officer. They don't have a returning officer. She's the acting returning officer. I'd love to know what her position was in the council.
Yeah, quite.
You know, and whether is she liable to get the job? Certainly not after this performance. I would say that she has made some really very fundamental errors.
Well, that'll be a very interesting one to watch.
And it is
outcome
going to go to court.
Oh, I believe it.
Right, so
Absolutely
moving
believe it.
swiftly on from
Okay.
Batley and Spen, there was another sort of Celtic fans falling out about.
Indeed.
Is it numbers going at stadiums?
Numbers
is
going
it
at
the
stadiums?
standard argument here?
It is, well, Celtic fans, as we know, have had a pretty hard time of it over the last few months, so, we have to be a bit gentle with them, bless their little hearts. But they have got, cause to complain this time, because there's a pre-season friendly coming up, Celtic against Preston, and Celtic fans have been told, right, 2,000 of you can go into the ground. 2,000 exactly. Now, we all know that when Scotland played Czech Republic and Croatia at Hampden only last month, 12,000 fans were allowed in. I'm sure it's completely coincidental that the Scottish Government was told by UEFA, you either confirm that you will let a certain number of fans into the stadiums, or we'll take the matches away from your
Elsewhere.
venue. We'll take them elsewhere. Magically, the SNP agreed to let 12,000 fans into the internationals. Not so lucky for club football, though. But it's not just football. Last month, there was a rugby match at Murrayfield between the British and Irish Lions, I should say, taking on Japan in a game just before they went off to South Africa. 16,500 spectators were allowed in. So it seems exactly. I mean, there's a very clear contradiction here, and even more clear double standard. If you're a fan of a nasty little football club, sorry guys, but if you support something nice like middle class rugby or maybe even international football, then it's a very, very different ball game.
So
it
we've
seems.
got international football.
Yep.
Is this to do with COVID?
Well,
Everything's to do with COVID. Of
the
course it
restriction
does.
is to do with COVID, yeah. So
Yeah.
how can COVID
Right,
be less
so-
of an issue at Hampden than it is? So are you six times more likely to get the disease if you go to Parkhead than if you go to Hampden? And then are you in fact 8 times more likely to get it than if you go to Murrayfield?
Oh, that's
look at this from a
ridiculous.
Celtic fans' point of view,
Yep.
right? This Sunday we are going to be looking at 60,000 fans, full capacity, with
Yep.
England in the final versus Italy.
Yes.
And then next week they're going to have 2,000 fans allowed in at their game.
It
No.
is quite ludicrous.
Okay, I'm
any
going to be.
Celtic
I'm
fan
going.
listening,
I'm,
you should be.
well, I'm going
you
to
should
be
up in
flippant.
arms.
So are Celtic fans and Rangers fans more susceptible to COVID than all these other football fans?
Maybe
This
there's
could be.
terrestrial cups.
That could be, but let's
no internationals.
let's not forget though, David Linden MP, the SNP MP, who has made a couple of serious wrecks in the past, said, "Oh, well, of course, the reason for the high rate in Scotland is people in Scotland don't have the same level of natural immunity as other people in the UK."
Oh,
I met him at the Glasgow Court and I thought he was a nice, pleasant guy. But when I heard him say that, I was like, Wait, I did a double take. Wait, so my immunity is not as good as somebody in England.
But hang on a minute. I thought the problem that the Scottish Government had said in relation to the football,
Yep.
and when Scotland went down to play
In London, aye.
Yes,
London,
yes.
right? I thought that the last time we spoke, we talked about the fact that the increase in COVID was because people had stayed at home and watched it on their tellies
that's what
and
the
brought
SNP
people
said.
into their houses.
That's what they said. They said it's nothing to do with us letting them go to London because we said to them, you be careful down there now. Oh, goodness me. But no, apparently it was all the fault of people like us who stayed at home and watched it on their own.
So
Yeah.
they seem to have, the horses bolted with
Yep.
with the COVID numbers in terms of stadiums and who can get what, and rugby can get this, and
Yep.
football can get that, and ice skating's known. You have to watch your kids play behind a big fence. You're not allowed to get up close. Like
That's it.
sports days are cancelled.
That's it.
But there's 60,000 fans in Wembley.
Yep. Well,
And we have to be subjected to this.
Yes,
it's
indeed.
like visual torture. It is. It's like Clockwork Orange when you've got your eyes, wired
wired
open.
open, yeah.
Oh, you're just subjected to it time and time again. It's hypocrisy that's on the screen.
I just
Absolutely
think COVID
right.
must be awful clever to
To differentiate, exactly, yeah. Okay.
between fans and clubs.
These fans over here are fine, but these ones here are not. We've got to look after them. Natural immunity and all
Well,
the
it's
rest
either
of
COVID that's clever or it's our politicians that
Yes.
Stupid.
are.
Sorry.
Well, what you choose. I mean, it's one or the other.
There indeed. So yeah, so we've yet to hear Rangers, which is far closer to our hearts over here. Us two anyway. We've got two.
Celtic
Quick,
fan.
it's Gina and Celtic. Yes, see,
Parity, yes.
we bridge the divide here. We're very good. But Rangers have got some fantastic season friendly games coming up, and we still don't know how many fans are going to be allowed in to see Rangers against Arsenal, Rangers against Brighton, and Rangers against Real Madrid. My goodness, who would have thought we'd be playing Real Madrid this year? Anyway, so we'll keep an eye on that because it's going to be very interesting, and unless we get at least as many people as were allowed into Hampden, allowed into Ibrox, I think we'll be having words. So yeah, I've got every sympathy with Celtic fans in this one. So let's keep an eye on that.
Yeah, of course. I mean, they're right to be up in arms. I
Yep.
mean, it's just like I said. You're
Yep.
being subjected to this,
Yeah.
this torture, this hypocrisy,
Yeah.
day in, day out, subjected to it, and you're just supposed to go along and accept it. No.
No.
And speaking about stupid politicians,
Oh.
it's Humza Yousaf Watch. The best politician in the land. And shout out to Calvin Robinson, who on GB News, I mean, we've been saying this for quite a long time, but
Yes.
he's the most dangerous person in the UK, or one of the most dangerous persons in
Humza
the UK.
that is not Calvin Robinson.
And why did he say that? It's because you could invite me over for dinner, David,
Yeah.
and we could be somehow criminalised for having a conversation.
Exactly. Indeed.
This is where we are in society.
That's crazy.
it's
This is where we
ridiculous.
are.
It's
Siri,
a
are you spying on me?
Yep.
Yes. We also memed it into reality as well. Last week we were talking about how he likes to dress up. He's a construction worker, he's a surgeon, he's
a nurse.
He's a nurse. I mean, I've seen him. What else have we seen him in? It's been
yeah.
funny. It's
Has he donned his wig yet and his
oh,
clothes?
the judge man, that was a
Judge, that's the
classic.
one, yeah, that's the one, yes.
Justice Secretary. But this week he was spotted at Harry Potter World.
Harry
Harry
Potter.
Potter, so now he's a wizard. I mean, and I did hear a rumour as well, right? So Harry Potter,
Did he wand to Harry Potter land?
apparated towards, during a pandemic in which Celtic are being restricted in how many fans we can get, Rangers are being restricted in how many fans we can get.
Yep.
He swans off down to Hogwarts. Where's Fameway?
Did he come into platform 9 3/4?
9 3/4.
Yes.
But I heard the rumour that in the suggestion box on his way out, he said, Harry Potter's too white. It's too white. Harry, white. Hermione,
White.
Ron,
White.
Dumbledore,
Whites!
Oh my God. I mean, it's endless fun with this guy. And he is, by far, in a way, the most dangerous politician in this country at the
Absolutely
moment.
agreed.
And he's done the dirty in the justice system, and now he's moving on to greener pastures in the health system.
Well, again, in the health system, this was the anniversary of the NHS again this week, and Humza Yousaf decided that he would tweet his gratitude to the health service and how wonderful they were, you know. So you're talking about, you know, so much gratitude that they're having to fight for anything beyond 1% of a pay rise.
Yep.
And I don't know if you saw the story about the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, University Hospital in Glasgow, and it was about staff members having hundreds of pounds worth of parking fines because they can't find anywhere to park.
Right.
Despite the fact there are multi-storey car parks within the hospital, and there are 2 floors of car parking completely vacant, and they won't let the staff use car parks, and the staff are really upset, totally demoralised because they can't park. And if they park in areas that are the open areas outside, and some people have been, you know, double parking. That's always been the case. There's never been enough parking there.
Yep.
And basically getting tickets.
So what's the point in this multi-storey car park then?
Yeah, exactly.
What's the point in it?
What's the point in giving staff when we're short-staffed and people are
Giving them a longer walk to work.
The morale
Exactly.
is at an all-time low.
Fine
You know,
enough.
across the board, we're short of nurses, we're short of midwives, we're short of ambulance personnel. You know, lots of people are off sick. You know, because that they've potentially been in a contact situation where they're being told that they have to self-isolate. So, I mean, it just staff morale is just at an all-time low.
Absolutely.
And
well, luckily they've got the saviour now who's going to sort it all out for them, Humza.
I mean, if there's anyone that can save them from utter destruction, it's him.
Has he got a magic wand then?
He maybe picked one up down south and then brought one back, but somebody needs a magic wand to fix that actually. But you know, if he can cast spells, or maybe he's got a broomstick or something he can fly. You know.
Oh my goodness!
Well, isn't it telling though that Scottish COVID infection rates have started to rocket? It's only days after Humza is made Health Secretary and John Swinney is put in charge of the recovery from COVID. Does that just tell you something?
Yep.
As soon as it happens.
the dynamic duo of John Swinney, Humza Yousaf.
So
I mean,
Scotland, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep.
Scotland is currently
number 1 in Europe.
capital of.
It's got 6,
Europe
isn't it? It's 6
for
of
COVID.
the highest 10 towns with COVID rates are in Scotland, in Europe. 6 of the highest in Europe are towns in Scotland.
I didn't know it was a competition, but
Oh, I know, but it's I've seen
desperate.
6 places.
I don't agree with the whole making it a competition.
No, I know,
either.
I agree.
really don't. It's there's people dying here,
Indeed.
and Nicola even taken a different approach to like the whole UK as a whole. It's wrong.
It is wrong.
It should have been a UK presentation of how the situation was being handled.
Absolutely.
And
Why was there no
instead it
joint-
became a competition.
did.
Why was there no joint press conference with Boris Johnson, Mark Drakeford, Nicola Sturgeon?
Because it was used as a platform to
Self-promote.
promote Nicola Sturgeon.
Isn't it the case that they were having these confidential meetings, Johnson with the 3 leaders, and then Sturgeon was running out as soon as she could to go and speak into a camera to see what had
Didn't
been
she
discussed?
leave early once?
Yeah, I think she did, and then gave all the confidential information that had been discussed in this absolutely top secret and high level meeting, and she couldn't wait to get in front of a microphone, but that's Sturgeon.
Yeah.
Not talking about Sturgeon and her being camera hungry, I noticed a really nice photograph of the First Minister on a ferry. Yesterday. Yeah, it was lovely. She's off on holiday. Oddly, her husband wasn't with her, but I'm sure that was just an oversight.
He's at Hogwarts with Humza.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean,
But I just get the feeling Mystic Dave thinks there's going to be a little announcement on that subject matter very soon, guys. I don't think this situation is fooling anybody any longer. And I don't mean to be personal about it. I think that might be happening.
Oh,
yes.
no, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I mean, Peter Murrow's got to be the biggest catch in the land.
Yeah, well, he's got a great job, that's for sure, yeah. So, well,
I know, I've seen her, it's funny to see her on a ferry as well.
Yeah,
I mean, considering that she's destroying ferries.
it's true, yeah.
She can't build them with...
Well, we've not been able to build two.
Exactly.
I know.
Let
And
alone
Miss
any
Clouds.
more.
Did you see, there was a great stat from the guy who was going to join us today, the other Niall, Niall Fraser-Love, who said Paraguay builds more ships than Scotland. And Paraguay is a landlocked country. So how does that happen, guys?
It's quite incredible.
Isn't it? I mean, look at what's the decades, if not centuries, that the Upper Clyde built ships that went all over the world, and now what? We can't even get two ferries to go to Ireland.
If we ever needed
How many weeks have we passed those ferries?
Absolutely right.
At Port
Ferguson's.
Glasgow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And they're just sitting there decrepit.
Absolutely, they will never set sail. I'm convinced.
desperate.
It is. It's
I think
appalling.
we'll just be watching them one day and they'll just sink.
Probably
They'll
yes.
just sink in the harbour.
Yeah,
And they'll
probably.
But wasn't there also something about CalMac and in the news in the last week or so about ferry contracts
That's right. Yeah.
being cancelled
Yeah.
because of the maintenance? Was it?
It was something like that.
Something
yeah.
like that.
Contracts were cancelled, definitely.
I can sort of see that there might not be that many people that live on the islands in Scotland. So I can see that there might be, they're running massive ferries when there might only be 10 or
But
15
this
people
was
going across.
CalMac ferries being rented out further afield. Am I right,
It was something like that. I'll have to check on exactly what it was, but it was yet more bad news about CalMac. Yeah, they'd hoped to get an agreement in place, and it was cancelled.
Awful. CalMac was built on such solid foundation.
Absolutely
that
right.
Scottish government has just absolutely compromised things.
Quite, and of course they've taken Ferguson's and made it into what you see now. This
A graveyard.
Exactly, a graveyard for very, very expensive and completely unviable ferries. Well, such as Scottish industry under the Nationalists. Oh my goodness!
What a time to be alive.
Indeed, it's been.
What a time to be alive. I mean, we're just... it's just... We're actually... we're living through the craziest time in human history.
I would say so. Who would have thought, 18 months ago when all this stuff started, we'd still be, coming back from COVID now. Who would have thought that these two...
I did.
Oh, did you? Right, cool.
I said we're never coming out.
Wow.
And I'm still quite a nihilist in that. I don't think we're ever coming out. I think this July 19th will end up just keep going on and on and on and on and on.
Well,
and then until we get to Epsilon.
Epsilon, yeah, exactly.
Until we've exhausted the Greek alphabet and then we're on to maybe the Roman numerals or something, It doesn't really matter, but we will exhaust this Greek alphabet 100%.
Talking about options being exhausted, we've got Nicola Sturgeon has talked about taking Scotland from level 1 back to level 0, but she's come up with a plan because she doesn't think we're quite ready yet.
Yeah,
we're going to have level 0.5. Yes, good old Nicola. And this is not a joke. She actually is planning this.
No.
Level 0.5.
We had currently it was 4 levels, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So we've got 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Yep.
So now we've got 8 levels. Or maybe even more. We've got 0.5, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5,
Yep.
3, 3.5, 4.
Yep.
And maybe a 4 plus.
I'm hopeful. Yep. So that's what she's planned. So yes, but at least Boris Johnson keeps saying, we have to realise there are going to be deaths. We understand that, but we've got to move on. And then as soon as the COVID rates go a little bit too high, they'll say, actually, maybe we shouldn't rush this. So and that's the way it's been for so long,
Maybe it's just my youth, but life's not all about just surviving.
No,
No.
indeed not.
No, we
It's
have to
for
live.
living.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Indeed. So
It's such a sorry state of affairs.
I just
Society
think
has
for,
come to this point.
for children, things like that, if you've got a child that doesn't want to go to school, doesn't like school, maybe now a bit timorous about, going into the classroom situation, having been out of the classroom situation for so long.
yeah.
What do you do as a
what do you
parent
do?
to support that? And what do you do as a teacher to support that? Oh, and let's come back to the teaching situation again.
Yeah.
So basically, we've still got hundreds of teachers, young teachers, who have not got permanent jobs.
Aye.
Why? Give the kids that have worked so hard,
Yep.
permanent jobs.
Yeah.
You know, how do they get
Absolutely
mortgages?
right.
How do they get, lifelong security
Absolutely.
without having a permanent job? Everybody's entitled to a permanent job.
Well,
Quite
especially
right.
if you've done 4 years of training to be a teacher or whatever
Yeah,
it
but
is.
you see, it's not just a case of that they, once they get to the end of a particular contract, and then they are told, "Thank you very much. You've been a great support to the school. You've done
Yep.
an amazing job," because they've worked their socks off all through this pandemic. I know lots of young teachers that have worked their socks off. Great teachers. And basically, at the end of term, they've left totally dejected after all their hard work that they don't have a permanent job.
Yeah.
You know, what happens then? Somebody else comes in and goes through this whole pantomime again the next year. And
Rinse,
it's
repeat.
just so soul destroying for these
Yes.
kids that are so committed. And I know of one girl who is wonderful wee teacher, great teacher. And she's seriously thinking about doing something else now because
Has Swinney
she's
moved
so
on
upset.
from the education secretary? Has he moved on to a different role?
Yeah, his role now is COVID recovery.
Right, okay, so who's the education secretary now?
I can't
so
remember.
that's Shirley Ann
Somerville.
Somerville.
Is that who it is? She's the
Yeah.
education, right?
Yeah, I wrote to her about something and she didn't get back to me.
Oh wow. Well, if you're listening to Shirley Ann,
Kel Surprise.
reply to
It was about that video
Tune in,
that
please.
appeared.
Oh, I remember
with,
that.
with the children.
Oh yeah.
Being taught
Wars of
some really hateful
Independence.
stuff, horrible stuff.
Really awful. Yeah.
Wars of Independence, and it was all this, drumming and stuff.
Well, I didn't mind the
Oh
drumming, to
my
be honest.
God.
But I mean, it all feeds into. We've seen, the such anti-English
Yep.
hatred
That's
on
terrible.
social
It's
media.
absolutely
It is,
desperate.
it's desperate, and it's not a good look, guys.
No.
No, it's not a good
It's
look.
not a good look.
It's not a good look.
It's dreadful.
Whoever you think of, English people, that are brothers and sisters in Wales.
Lots of
and
people are
Ireland and
married,
England.
into Scottish women marrying English men, Scottish
Vice
men
versa.
Absolutely right.
marrying English women, and bringing up their families. And this is the nonsense that we have to listen to. It's absolutely appalling. It's
It is appalling.
disgusting.
It is appalling. And we had, on the subject of appalling and disgusting people, it's important that we give James Dornan a mention this week, I think.
Oh.
But we've already done Humza.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, so James Dornan, what's he doing
Well,
again?
James Dornan this week,
Excels again.
indeed.
Mr. Dornan.
Jacob Rees-Mogg, who is almost certainly the most personable, the most articulate, the most...
Well, he's certainly articulate.
yeah, he's a terrific speaker, and he comes across as someone who's got genuine class, and he seems like a very nice man. James Dornan decided that Jacob Rees-Mogg had been too supportive of a measure to stop illegal immigrants reaching this country. So James Dornan decided that he would jump into Twitter and say to Jacob Rees-Mogg in a direct tweet how disgraceful this was, and that the Tories were responsible for killing lots of people. And remember this next time you go to confession, was what James said to Jacob Rees-Mogg.
Really?
He said that
That's
because
anti-Catholic.
well, of course, Dornan's Catholic himself, but he said
Why
this to
is he
Rees-Mogg.
doing this?
Exactly. He said, if your God exists, you will surely burn in hell. Now,
And what
way did he
gives
say
him
that.
I
what
promise
gives
you.
him the right to judge another human being?
Absolutely
and
right.
Dare to say that?
And what God does this guy worship?
Quite right.
If he's saying
That's
these
terrible.
things?
That's absolutely terrible.
Dornan is a genuinely nasty man, and I say that without any fear of contradiction. He is a deeply unpleasant man. This is the same guy we talked about who accused
bus
Lothian
company.
buses of being anti-Catholic.
And it's just a relatively new term as well.
Exactly.
It's just been invented.
It's true. And, and
There's no need for it.
there is no need for it. Sectarianism, bigotry. You don't have to single out one or.
So does this
mention just one people.
constitute hate crime?
As far as I'm concerned, it does. I
think
love
it does.
You know, but this is
you
what
want
it
to
does.
use the weapons of the enemy.
Yeah, that's true. We're
We
going
don't want to use the weapons of the enemy, guys.
true.
This hate crime, don't accuse anyone of a hate crime. Don't do it. It's a waste of time. Words sometimes hurt.
Yeah.
But please don't use this hate crime maliciously.
Yeah.
No, I hear that indeed.
No,
Yeah,
no,
you're
no,
right.
totally.
You're right.
But
So
it's
It's
absolutely
like trying to use the
despicable.
one ring.
yeah, the one
You know,
ring. Yes,
only
yes.
Sauron can use the one ring. It cannot
Very
be
good.
wielded.
Very good.
It really can.
Yeah.
Was he white too? Aye.
Red and black. Sauron white, Frodo Baggins white, Samwise Gamgee white, Gandalf the white.
Yes.
Humza would hate Lord of the Rings.
Oh, he wouldn't like Game of Thrones either. The White Walkers, and he wouldn't like that either. That's true. Yeah.
Seriously, it's
We're living in crazy
absolutely
times.
awful.
It is,
We
it's
are.
crazy.
It's
So part of the reason we do this is we're trying to bring back an element of normality and civility into all of this, and this is, I think, a lot of reasons why we got into
And
politics.
to
I
see
think-
how ridiculous it is
Absolutely
when
right,
these
you know.
situations are presented.
Yes.
Shine a torch on how
You know.
funny
Quite
these
right.
people really are.
Indeed.
And to pick up on the James Dornans of the world who are saying these radical things, and it's not even nasty, it's really quite disgusting behaviour.
that's shameful
especially
behaviour.
from elected politicians.
Absolutely, it's disgraceful. And this is a guy who's 67 years of age. You should know better.
Come on, you
If
should know
If you
better.
don't know better by now, mate, I'm beginning to lose hope that you ever will. So, dreadful. And we'll continue to call you out. Believe me. So, anything
what
else?
comes next?
What comes next, indeed?
We've covered the NHS right to life. We've covered the fact that society is a bit funny the new with the fans and football games. We can get 60,000 in Wembley. Celtic can't get 2,000.
Yep. A game against Preston.
watching
Yep.
their
Oh,
team.
wait to tell you this. Somebody told me that if you go abroad on your holidays
Okay.
and you come back to Scotland, you have to take a specific test.
The lateral flow test,
No, it's 3 letters.
PCR.
No. No, this is a manufacturer's test.
Oh, I see. Right, okay. It's
Oh.
the name
It's
of
a
a company.
specific manufacturer that the Scottish Government have said you have to take XYZ test,
You have to take the real McCoy.
Right. Oh.
which costs,
100 and is it 30 or 170?
I don't know, it's a lot of money.
Callum got this, one of our colleagues.
But the thing about it is that in England and Wales and Northern Ireland, you can buy an equivalent test for a fifth of the price of this
I have
test.
seen this, yeah.
So what is the Scottish Government getting out of this?
Yeah, exactly.
We're getting loads of money out of it.
Well, who is behind this company?
Yeah.
I'm going to find out who's behind this company and see if it is related in any way to anybody connected to the SNP.
Most, if not all, of these
Yep.
tests
Yep.
are being manufactured in China.
They are.
for
They're all the same
pennies.
tests.
Absolutely
For
right.
pennies,
Yes,
right?
indeed.
And just so everyone knows, they're getting manufactured in China for pennies. They come over to us for pennies.
Yep.
And they're trying to charge you 150 quid for a test that cost them less than £1.
You're
Yeah.
right.
Right? This is where we are.
It's a scam. No question.
The testing, there's no way they should be saying you have to take one brand of a test. That doesn't seem right at all. Because then
No.
it's price fixing. and competition
Absolutely
fixing.
right, exactly. No, you can't do that. You're right.
No, it's not right.
Right, so this is what someone has sent me. So basically, someone coming back to Glasgow via Amsterdam, she's now isolating for 10 days as instructed, but the test that she had to take was a CTM test.
Right.
So that's Charlie Tango Mike test. However, English travellers can use any company as long as it's providing a PCR test.
Right.
But the Scottish Government have made it mandatory to use CTM tests, which cost £170 for the compulsory 2 tests on day 2 and day 8. Interestingly, Boris Johnson has allowed people to find the cheapest option. So,
But not Nicola.
who's
She
making
said
a
no.
fortune?
Yeah. I wonder.
See, it's just extra money for Scots to pay
Yep.
after returning on
It's
holiday.
a tax on Scots.
That's exactly
Yes.
what it is. Yep.
And we're not that welfare country.
Believe me, no, indeed not. Oh goodness,
It is. I mean, the testing thing is crazy. 170 quid for a forced test.
Yeah.
Even when you have to isolate.
Which somebody down south will pay £23 for,
Yep.
which is extortionate too.
I know it's extortionate.
But there's a hell of a difference between £170
there
and
is.
£23.
23 exactly. Absolutely right.
So,
I mean, you're talking
if you're
flights.
listening,
Flights could cost less than £170 sometimes.
Yep.
if you're listening, Nicola, can you please address that issue immediately? Because there are lots of people who are booking holidays because they want to get away, they want to return to some form of normality.
Yep.
Yep.
And you're taxing it beyond belief when it doesn't have to be that price. So why you have to have that particular manufacturer,
Yep.
that's under scrutiny now.
Yes, we need to be looking at who owns this company,
Yeah.
on Companies House, if there's any SNP connections there, if there's any government connections there. Because now we've opened Pandora's box and nothing is... We need to be looking at everything, is what I'm saying. We
exactly.
need to
The
open
very
books on
fact that
everything.
people are making money from COVID while other people are suffering dreadfully, they've lost their jobs,
Well,
companies have been wound up because they just couldn't sustain without support.
well, this gets into the grander scheme of things. So, yes,
I know what you're going to say.
there are companies who are benefiting from COVID. You've got these big national supermarkets,
Yep.
your Morrisons, your Asda's, your Tesco's. You've got your Amazons of the
Yep.
world. You've got all these big, huge businesses that have been allowed to stay open.
Yep.
They have been making a killing. It's
Yeah.
been heyday, it's been Christmas every day for these guys, and they've now got a vested interest in staying locked down.
Yep.
This is a problem
Yeah.
because the longer we're in
They're
lockdown,
making money from
all
it.
this furlough money that we make, that we're giving to people, is going right to them. It's being spent in the same place, and it's like it's the government's printing the money for us, and it's going right to them.
Well, that's the point. So what about all these people and all the money that's been paid from the Westminster government to the Scottish government to be paid out as COVID funding?
Yeah.
And all these people are saying that they haven't received this funding. I heard today in the news that Michael Gove has said that he wants to do an audit of where all this COVID money has gone.
Long overdue.
It needs to speak to George Galloway. I mean, we've
Absolutely.
been harping on about opening the books
Yeah.
all campaign.
For since a year now. It's
So,
a year
but I
we've
think
been
it's going to
talking
happen now. I really do think it's going to happen now. And I think that the Scottish Government are going to be held to account.
about. Excellent. Not before time.
And for what it's worth, you, the Scottish public, deserve to know what the finances of our country actually look like.
Absolutely right.
And where the money's gone and where it's being spent.
Yep.
But look at all
You
these.
deserve that.
Look at all these people who were SNP members and who were gifted
Yep.
monies, and they were told that they had to give part of it back to the SNP, and then it was highlighted. This is a good number of months back. It was highlighted, and they all had to give the money back. So. I think it is absolutely overdue that there's an audit of how this money is being spent or not spent, as the case may be, and make certain that those who need support are getting support.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
If we've still got people that they might have not even got a pound all this time.
Yeah.
They might have been out of work and they've not got a single penny. There must be people out there that have not received an iota of
Talk to a
government help.
Talk to a taxi driver. He'll tell you all about it.
Quite.
Aye.
Yeah.
They're livid, livid. But there's. I mean, I keep. I know a lot of magicians. The entertainment industry is done.
Yes.
It's been absolutely done. I mean, you're just laughing. Hamza, Yusuf, I know all the magicians.
That's what I was thinking.
I knew you were thinking that as soon as I said it.
Do any of them do disappearing tricks? Please.
Make the SMP disappear.
Right, yes.
So
You
the
need a very big wand
industry's-
for that.
or a big cloak.
Yeah, yes, yes.
So
Sorry, I digress.
No, it's all right.
I just
so
got this
these
vision
people,
of Humza as a magician.
you know, close-up magicians. They do weddings. They do, you know, big pubs.
Yeah.
We events, stuff like that. There's been none of that. And you know, I feel bad for all the entertainment industry, all your musicians, or your actors,
Yeah.
your magicians, anyone involved in the entertainment industry, which is it's a vital part of the British economy, and a very important part
And
of our
also,
culture in general.
a very much, it's so important to the culture of the country, and, you know, making sure that people actually have opportunity to enjoy themselves.
Definitely.
It's with the craziness that's coming out of America, I actually think it gives Britain another chance to be the cultural champions of the West. It gives us a chance.
Yeah.
Because, you know, culture's been emanating, pulsing out of Hollywood for the last, since the 60s?
Yep.
But now it's our chance to reclaim that. You know, you keep going back to the BBC, the golden era. It's
right.
BBC. How good was the TV back then?
Yeah.
It was brilliant.
Absolutely
My
right.
mum worked in the BBC in those days, and, you know, everything about the BBC was just gold. It was just everything they touched turned to gold dust. And now,
That's
Now,
such a shame, isn't it?
you know, every comedian or every even TV shows, they're all afraid to put a foot wrong.
Yes, indeed.
And this is what's it's what's caused us.
we've gone
Sort
from
of miasma.
one extreme to another. You know, yeah, I'm sure there were things that needed to be tidied up, but my goodness, we've been totally censored now, haven't we?
And even if you self-censor yourself, even 1%, even a 0.5%, it all, you know, it accumulates. It really does.
Yeah, it's not good.
Tough times, guys. Crazy times.
Thank you, Humza, Yusuf.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you.
Yep.
One of the four horsemen of the apocalypse.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right, so I think we've covered quite a lot. We've done Batley and Spen, we've done Humza Watch is my favourite. We've done the NHS Right to Life, and
we can come back to that right to life, because we need to come back.
An eye on
I'm
it.
very unusual in that I'm very interested in beginning of life and also end of life as well, because you know, we need to be having our eye on the ball as to what the Scottish Parliament's going to be doing, because they're discussing the right to end life, and my feelings on that are always going to be, you know, I've known loads of people who have gone through dreadful illness, cancer or whatever else, and especially really nasty throat cancers and esophageal cancer and things like that. And things have seemed to be so dark and desperate, and they thought they were never going to recover. And I'm sure there would have been a time where they wanted to just end it all.
Yeah.
However, two of those people I am extremely close to are now in their 10th year after that and having a ball, loving life.
Wow.
And, you know, they will talk openly about how bad they felt at that time. So, you know, desperate moments are not times for making desperate decisions.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely, that's quite a good statement. I like
Very
that.
much so.
I mean, the last thing I want to see in Scotland is euthanasia clinics.
Definitely not.
The last, because we just know that it's not going to be just terminal illness.
Oh, no.
They'll put
There's the
mental health in there.
exactly.
And there's
we
that,
just
and
know
there's the financial,
it's the
financial
slipperiest slope we can be. We
element
can
of it
even
too.
erect. It's,
No.
It's,
Sure.
It's
No.
the worst bobsleigh track we've got. It's really so. It's
And remember
terrible.
what I said the last time: power of attorney.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Very
Must
important.
all have a power of attorney, because if you don't have a power of attorney, then something happens. A social worker is appointed, and the first question the social worker asks is,
Do you own your own house?
Yeah,
do you
absolutely.
own your own home?
Yep. Can we get access to some of that
And if
lovely
you
money?
do, we can treat you
Yeah.
very well.
Quite.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, maybe not. We can take your money.
Take your
But,
money to pay for
you
your
know,
care. Exactly.
So
Oh, it's disgraceful.
everybody should have a power of attorney.
Yep.
Talk to a lawyer.
Yep.
You can even do it yourself if you're clever enough, got time to do it. But everybody should have a power of attorney, because without that power of attorney, your family have no ability to speak up on your behalf, whether that's a husband, a wife, son, a daughter, whatever. So get yourself
Agreed.
a power of attorney.
Agreed. Indeed.
I
Wise
identify
words.
as someone with a power of attorney.
Yeah, quite. Yeah.
I identify
Yeah,
as someone.
Well, yes. Yeah, no, honestly, it's the one thing that I've done. I've got a power of attorney for me, my mum, my brother, and, you know, at the end of the day,
You would encourage it for
I would
anyone.
encourage it for anyone, because when you look into it, you don't need a power of attorney until something goes wrong.
Yes.
And when something goes wrong, if you've not
just
got
already
that
too
power of
late.
attorney, it's too late. So get a power of attorney.
Right, so we'll let David wrap it up.
Okay. Well, it's been quite a downbeat little update today, because there's so much going on that's very concerning, I think, guys, and it's causing us great concern. You heard with Jean-Anne talking with great passion about the termination of pregnancy issue, which is something which I know inflames huge passions among people, but it just makes no sense at all. Those ideas, and thank goodness they were shelved. I mean, what on earth they were thinking about, I don't know. Humza watches, as always, is a source of frustration indeed, yeah, and amusement to us. Although it's not really very funny, considering what the
If you
amount.
didn't put a wee bit of humour on it,
Exactly.
If you didn't laugh, you'd be great.
Absolutely
Honestly,
right.
that's
Absolutely.
the situation we're in
Yeah,
Scotland.
it's true, but nonetheless, we will plough onward, and we will make sure that we castigate the SNP when they carry out all these idiotic decisions, and we will point out acts of blatant hypocrisy and double standards, as with the football fans, and we'll continue to shine a torch on the SNP's elected representatives, all of whom we feel are letting Scotland down abysmally, appallingly, more so than ever now, with their infernal drive for separation and independence, which we will fight to the very end. Am I right,
As soon
guys?
as there's any SNP politicians that do something positive,
Yep.
I'll be the first one
We'll
to
tell you.
congratulate
Absolutely
them.
right.
The
Yeah,
first
okay.
one.
I'll give you an example. Unbelievably, next month I'll be 60. I know it's incredible. I know you can't believe it, guys. I know that. I know.
Party!
Thank you. Indeed, yes. I must talk about that. Anyway, but what I will be doing, I'll be picking up a bus pass. Now, that's lovely, because you get a free bus pass in Scotland. It would be great if you did something for trains. So I don't know who the Transport Minister is now, but if you ever do that, I might even vote for you if you say we'll give over 60s free train travel.
Club
also.
50.
Club 50, is that what
It's
it's called?
Club 50 now, so you're actually eligible. Because when I was going to be,
That would be me.
50.
50, is it 40 or 50? I can't remember. Anyway, so something like that. Anyway, and when I couldn't wait, because I was going to get this Club
Yes.
50,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then they reduced it to 40, didn't they? So I missed out for 10 whole years.
Oh no! Oh dear! Oh dear! But indeed, no. That was just a little aside as we wrap up. But thank you for listening, everybody. Thank you, Niall, for all your input. Jean-Anne, again, thank you for the wonderful input tonight. And we'll crack on, guys. And next week, look out for potentially another a new guy joining us. But there will be something. There'll be episode number 6 will come next week. So keep an eye on it, and tell your friends to look out for the State of the Union podcast, guys. So from now,
Goodbye. Thanks for watching.
Jean-Anne,
Good night.
thank you,
That's a
guys,
good night.
and we'll speak next week. Cheers, everybody. Bye bye. Bye bye.
Thank you.